I designed and built this humanoid robot arm. It can even be used as a tabletop robot arm in this configuration. It's all 3D printed, making it lightweight and fast. And the Harmonic actuators that it uses makes it quite strong. But of course, nothing goes according to plan. Let me walk you through this design, how I assembled it, and the lessons I learned. If you're new here, I've been doing robotics and AI for 10 years and have a lot of resources on my channel. Go ahead and check it out and subscribe for more. And thank you PCBWay for sponsoring this video. So first, let me walk you through the design of this humanoid robotic arm. So there's 3 motors here, making it 3 degrees of freedom. The thing is, this elbow joint here, if you notice, unlike typical robot arms that you see, is actually 9 degrees offset from the second joint here. So this is what makes it behave like an elbow of a person. But as you know, the typical human arm, the shoulder joint, actually has 3 degrees of freedom. So there's actually only 2 joints right here for the shoulder. If I had another motor, I would add another one right here so that the upper arm can actually rotate, giving it the full 3 degrees of freedom. But here we're only using 2 for the shoulder and then 1 for the elbow. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at this base joint here. This is a harmonic drive actuator from MyActuator that they gave me. So you can see this is a RH20-100-N. This N means there's no brakes, but this one just came out and it's really nice. You can see there's a hollow shaft that lets you pass power through. And then there's also battery backup here if you want to use the absolute encoder. There's an LED light for some feedback, and then you have the CAN input and CAN output, and you can have power input and power output, and they also support EtherCAT. So you can see here at this joint here, I've added a hole to have the cables pass through, and then you can see that I could route all the cables coming out here that goes directly to the second joint. And you could repeat the process of having the cables go through the second joint and then go through the third one. So you can see right here, I'm holding the 2 main limbs of the robot arm. So I made this truss design because I didn't want to use too much material when I'm printing. So these parts, the more material you use, the more expensive it'll be, because I ordered these from PCBWay. They came out really strong. You could feel when you actually resist it, they could actually handle a lot of force that you're pushing. So this truss design makes it really, really strong. And I also added a hole here. You can see this is for the pass through of the cables. And you can see that all of these cables here, if I had another joint on the other end, I could continue to pass it through here as well. So that's why I have this cutout here. And you can see right here, I've made a little dent here, as you can see. So there's a little notch here. So this notch here allows me to have a little bit more range of motion. So not quite as much as I want, but you can see it's definitely past 90. Just imagine maybe it has a big bicep, so it can't go all the way. But typically you might want to cut out more material here so that it could go all the way through. All right, now let me walk you through how I assembled the robot. So first thing we're going to do is put the nuts inside the base link so that we could secure the first joint onto the first link. After that, we could put the actuator inside the link. Then we could secure it with the M3 screws. Okay, so now we could put on the second link and secure that onto the first actuator. Again, here we're going to be using M3 screws. And if you notice here, I have these holes on top of the link just so I have access to the screws for some of the hard to get ones. Okay, so now we're ready to take the second actuator and put it inside the second link. But before that, we need to put the nuts inside. And once again, we're going to secure the second actuator using some M3 screws. Now we're ready to put the next link and secure it on with some M3 screws again. Now we can start putting the nuts in and then put the upper arm into the assembly. Then we'll go ahead and secure it with some M3 screws on the side. Now let's go ahead and put some nuts in this link that will hold the third actuator. Again, we'll use some M3 screws on the side to hold it together. Now let's go ahead and put the last L bracket on there with some M3 screws. I actually had the motor in the wrong direction, so I had to take it apart and flip it by 90 degrees. Okay, now it's looking correct. Now I'm going to put the nuts in the tool end and then assemble it with the forearm link. And look at that, it's all assembled and ready to go. Well, that was fun, but in the process, I ended up breaking my robot. And it actually broke not because the material was too weak. This was actually a very strong bracket, surprisingly, even though this was plastic and I only supported it on one end. Of course, it would have been better if it was supported on both sides, but what actually happened was I actually ran this into itself. So what happened was, because I was really in a rush. I was super excited to get this up and running, and then I didn't have the proper mount for it. So I was holding it with one hand, trying to make sure it doesn't shake the table too much, and then my other hand, I was trying to secure the weight to make sure that everything was stable. And then I made a quick change in my script. I didn't realize the change that I made was actually still sending signals to the other motor. So what ended up happening was that this motor here actually ran into itself, and of course the weakest part of the motor broke first. So I mean, the weakest part of the robot broke first. So that's what pretty much happened. So lesson learned here is probably a good idea to make sure that your robot is securely mounted, so you have a hand that's free to hit the e-stop in case something happens. And second thing would be, of course, it would be ideal if you were to put some sort of software e-stop or software limit to prevent your robot from keep going into the limits like itself. So later on, I'm going to integrate this robot in ROS. If you're new to ROS, I have a lot of resources on my channel. Go ahead and check it out. So if you found this video helpful, give a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.